Ah, if you know, you know. What's up, folks, and welcome to Retro Ramble. I've been excited to talk about this one ever since it came out, and well, I'm a little too small for Konami to give a press code to, but this is one I happily picked up with my own money, even if it was a lot of money, because, well, it's a new Contra and made by probably the single best devs that could have done it. So this is Contra Operation Galuga, and it is a new game, but it's also kind of a remake of the first game as well. It's a little bit of a mix here, and as usual, this has WayForward's fantastic touch all over it. It's packed with features, it's packed with things that make it a truly next-gen experience versus the original Contra, but also, if you haven't played the original Contra, the hell is even wrong with you? You guys gotta go play that. It's one of the greatest of all time classics. But yeah, this is a brand new game for the current generation, and it, as I said off the top there, it is a little bit expensive. Konami'd the heck out of the pricing for this, and to be honest, I think that's gonna hurt it. But it really is a fantastic experience that I wanted to show off to you guys here. So we're playing this on PC, but this is out on the consoles as well. This PC version is fantastic. As usual, WayForward does a fantastic job with their stuff. I believe they roll their own tech, and they do a really great job with that here. So you've got a few different options. There is a story in this. It is cheeseball as all get out, and that is the point. And they do a fantastic job of that. There's also an arcade mode, which skips the story stuff and also supports some extra things, as well as a challenge mode and a shop where you can spend this in-game currency that you earn through playing to unlock little benefits and whatnot throughout the game, which is kind of cool as well. And, well, I'm going to show you a little bit of this here. The only reason I'm going to tap onto arcade mode here initially is because you can, well, as you can see here, there's a number of different characters you can pick from, not just two, and you may have noticed there that in the arcade mode, this supports up to 4-player multiplayer. Yeah, that is something that Contra is not typically known for. Now, there is no online play, unfortunately, but if you are on PC, this does support Steam Remote Play, so you do have the ability to get people together that way. If you're on the consoles, yeah, sorry, you're going to have people in the same room, which is too bad, but online play is difficult, and WayForward games typically don't tend to have it. Some of them have lately, but not all of them, so, you know. So what we're going to do here is I'll start up a new game here just to show you guys what this is like. There are difficulty modes in this. I will say that the normal mode is definitely easier than Contra typically is. It's also not one-hit death, at least not by default, but you do have an option to do that, which is really cool. You also may have seen some perks pop up there, but we'll talk about that after. Like I said, the story in this is ridiculous, and WayForward is really good at embracing that ridiculousness and sort of making it the core function of the game in a way that makes you kind of grin the whole way through it. So the idea behind this is in the story mode you'll be playing as one of the two sort of well-known Contra characters, Bill and Lance, but you unlock other ones over the course of playing through the story that have their actual own abilities, which is kind of cool. And by default, you do have a health meter as opposed to one-hit death, but again, you can adjust all that stuff. And the voice acting in this is actually well done. It's cheesy in just the right way. They actually have Steve Bloom in this, who plays Lance and does a Steve Blooms it. That's for dang sure. I'll give you a little bit of a taste of this.
Called Red Falcon has been carrying out limited strikes around the globe. We've confirmed reports they've set up shop on the main island of Galuga, following the meteor event earlier this year. The Federation immediately dispatched the GX Army, as they were in the vicinity for military exercises. They seemed to be making headway until 3 days ago, when we lost contact.
You're kidding. Gen 10 is the strongest unit in the Federation Army. No way some fringe upstarts took them out.
So yeah, if you listen to some of the words there, you know that this is just utterly ridiculous, and it's fantastic for it. So Yeah, so here we go. Let's get into the gameplay here, and you guys can really see what this is all about. So right now, you're already going to see how this differs quite a bit from the original NES and Super Nintendo variants, which is that, well, on modern controllers, you have an analog stick, and they take great advantage of that. You could only shoot in very specific directions on the older platforms, and it was often somewhat inaccurate because you were stuck using a D-pad. So here, you've got full analog range of movement, and it is going to be very critical that you make use of that, especially in some of the later levels. This level right here, you can tell it looks very familiar if you've played the original Contra, but you know, it's just, they've already got some nice, like, just cool little touches in it. Like, for example, here, if you duck under the water, changes the sound effect because you're under the water. Like, how cool is that, right? It's just, I love little stuff like that. And the other major thing that Contra was famous for, of course, were the weapon pickups that you could get that had various different capabilities here. As is typical, in my opinion, spread gun is still best gun. Many, you know, that was kind of an undisputed truth throughout most of Contra's early life, but there are actually a number of other guns available in this, and some of them are pretty cool in their own ways, especially against certain enemies. So, you know, you may find that you have different preferences in that regard. But you also may have seen something that I did to this machine gun power-up here. You may see the little tube beside it. And this is one of the neat little innovations that they brought into this, is that all of your guns can be leveled up. Now, they can only be leveled up once, but you can get a power-up that will turn the gun not only more powerful in general, but in the case of some guns, completely change the way the attack works. So I'm going to change to the laser here, but that machine gun there that I picked up, it generally just gets more powerful, but some guns really completely change how they work and become mechanically very different, which is really cool. And in addition to that, some of the unlockable characters that you'll get to play as later will actually use different guns in different ways. That's not even the right way to say it. Like, for example, the spread gun with the Lucia character that you'll unlock later on, it's still called the spread gun, but it doesn't act like it at all. It's completely different in terms of the way it works and plays. I'm not going to spoil how that is, but it really mixes things up in a cool way. The gun is still really fun to use, but it's a very different kind of thing, and that's what I think is really neat, is the way, again, these are the kinds of things WayForward does super well. So here's the enhanced spread gun. As you can see, the spread gets wider and the bullets do more damage, but some of them are very different than that. Beyond that, what you can also do is you can actually, by holding down, I'm playing with a controller here, but if by burning one of your guns as well, you get a temporary power up. And what's cool about this is so this one gives me like a bullet time thing, right? And every gun has its own different, this is one of my favorites, rocket launcher. But yeah, this is actually a homing missile, which is really cool, but it doesn't do as much damage as you might think from a typical missile weapon. So it has its pros and cons. But yeah, every gun you have the ability to burn one use of it and get a temporary power boost from that. And in later levels, especially on higher difficulties, that can come in very handy. So again, a really neat little mechanic. In addition, what happens is if you have a powered up gun and you take damage, you will actually lose that power up from it if it is equipped. So you can see here, you can switch between two different special weapons, and if you get hit while having a powered up special weapon, you will lose that one level of the weapon, but you will not lose the weapon entirely. So you'll lose its sort of juiced up status, but you won't lose the entire gun, only the second part of it. So gives you a couple little things to think about. You'll also see there under my health meter up top is a little module that will charge up as you kill enemies, and that allows you to, if you end up in a situation where you don't have any special weapons or you don't like the one you have, that allows you to press a button and summon one in automatically. It's a random one, but it allows you to summon it in. Now, you see there, I picked up, I already had a level 2 homing missile, so I picked up another one, and it just disappeared. I don't know if that just gives you more points or if you get nothing for it. So like the old Contra games, your score is actually being calculated behind the scene. You probably heard the tone there when I was playing that I actually earned an extra life, but it doesn't. But one of the things the Contra games did that was kind of interesting, at least the home versions, not necessarily the arcade versions, is that your score was being calculated behind the scenes, but it didn't show it to you unless you got in between stages, or in the case of the NES, if you paused it. This game does not show you your score until you complete a level. Even if I pause it, see, you don't get to see it. So that's kind of an interesting mechanic as well. And scores in this are principally used for, there are stats kept about that, but scores in this are principally used to determine how many credits you get to use in the perk shop. That's really the main thing. This game doesn't have online leaderboards or anything like that, which doesn't really bother me. I mean, though they kept score in Contra, it was never really a score attack game. That was never really the point, right? But you're going to see here, I completed the level, so it gives me the time, it gives me the score, and there's the credits that I get towards the perk shop. So that's kind of how that works. And yeah, as you play through this, there's going to be stories and like story cutscenes and all sorts of little things that are going to be introduced. Some of the cutscenes are fairly lengthy, but they're not boring. I find them interesting. But as you saw there, it gives you the full ability to skip everything if you want, which is really nice. So as I said here, you can spend perks in the shop, and some of these perks can get you all kinds of cool things, like additional characters. Like these are characters beyond the bunch that I already showed you that I haven't played yet. So there's also the ability to get each character a particular upgrade that you can use. You have to use these. You can only equip 2 perks at a time when you start a run of the game, so you have to choose which ones that you want. Yeah, retain special weapons after death, take damage without losing your level 2 weapons. We talked about that before. Weapons are automatically level 2. You can start with certain ones already equipped. The bonus pod meter is effectively, this gives you a weapon as soon as you die. You can give yourself more global 1-ups that you have available to you. You can increase the hit points. Yes, the Konami code does exist in this. You got to do it at a certain place to unlock this perk that gets you 30 lives. I'm so happy they put that in. This wouldn't be a proper Contra game without the Konami code. And you can also unlock a speedrun mode and additional soundtracks. Now, a very un-Konami-like thing that was done here that I really thought was cool is that if you own some of the previous collections that Konami has put out, at least on Steam, I don't know about the other platforms, but if you own some of the other collections that they put out, like the Gradius collection or the Shooting collection, the Castlevania collection, and the old Contra collections that you can still buy today, if it detects you own those, it will just unlock those soundtracks for you the first time you launch the game. I thought that was really cool and a neat little add-on for this. And like I said, very un-Konami to reward loyalty in that way. But as you can see here, you can pick, so when you start in arcade mode, again, you can pick the different things and you can choose what music you want. So you'll get to play this to the beat of some older games in the series. So here are the perks that I've unlocked, the ones that are applicable to this character at least. If I were to pick Bill, you see we have some extra perks that are related to him. So what I also haven't shown you yet is that each of the different characters actually has special abilities that I'm going to show you as well. This is also neat. If you go into the arcade mode, it does have these little cutscenes like this, but it skips all the story stuff and drops you right in. But it has these little interstitials to not make it feel very jarring, which I really like. So every character also has an ability that is on the B and Y buttons. Now, some characters only have one ability, some have 2. And you have to be mindful of that depending on the character that you're playing. In the case of Bill, it's this dodge ability, and there's a perk that you can enable that will give him iframes while he's doing that dodge. So something to keep in mind that you can use for certain playthroughs. Most of the characters also have double jump abilities in this, which you didn't have in a lot of the originals, which is nice. A couple of the characters have a grappling hook ability, which is what's actually on the Y button, so they can't jump as far, but they can grapple around the levels, which completely changes the way that things play, the way that levels progress, which I thought was really neat. And again, a way to really add replayability to this. That's a key word with this. For as expensive as this game is, You can play it a lot of different ways, and to be honest, I think that's what they expect you to do, because I will tell you that unlocking all of the various things in the perk shop is a grind. You're gonna have to play this over and over again many times to get everything, if that's a thing for you. And getting a lot of the perks in the shop are tied to some of the achievements in this as well. A lot of them are progression based, but there are you know, and there's achievements for beating different modes and things like that. But the perk shop, getting everything in it is going to require playing this a lot. I don't know if the amount of perk points that you get is increased by playing with additional players or not. I'm sure it is increased by playing on higher difficulties and things like that. But that's something to keep in mind. Now the perks are, you know, just ways to alter the game and put fun little modifiers on it. Generally, some of them can make it easier in some cases, but a lot of the perks are not necessary either. So you can definitely play this without going through the whole perk shop and still have yourself a fine experience in the end. I certainly did. I'd beaten the story mode already. It took me about 2.5 hours in single player normal difficulty with the health meter to beat the story mode. But if I wanted to turn that up to a higher difficulty or single hit death or something like that, oh yeah, it's gonna get way tougher than that for sure. It would be hilarious to try to play this with like 4 people in the arcade mode with 1 hit death and see how far we could get before we killed each other. But yeah, so they give you a lot of flexibility in this. And there's also the challenge mode that you saw in the main menu here. Now, these challenges are, some of them are pretty freaking gnarly, man. And strangely, they don't award a lot, which is what I found kind of strange. So you have things here like speed run, weapon research, which is basically getting through a particular level section with only 1 weapon. There's obstacle courses, there's horde modes, which is neat. Pacifism, which is gnarly. That's get through a whole level without shooting, which that's rough. There's what they call rematches. What this means is that you have to play a boss level under specific circumstances. I believe this one, well, let's go check. This one, I think, is you have to beat a boss with a limited ammo count. And you lose instantly if you take any damage, by the by. So that's something to keep in mind as well. They also all have par times. Now, I don't know if maybe you get a much bigger points reward if you beat the par time, because I ain't been able to beat the par time on any of these levels yet. And it's kind of insane, because one of them, which was the weapon mastery one, I don't know how I could have done things any faster than I did. Like, it literally was, I moved nonstop, and I never took a breath in the whole level, and I got through it, and I was 4 seconds under par. The only thing I could think of is that maybe I had to use my dash a whole bunch in order to get through it. That's the only thing I could think of. So I haven't done it yet, but I guess I could try it. Who knows? You know, I have a tendency of, like, something that I get stuck on. The first time I do it when I'm recording, I end up like blitzing my way through it. So who knows? And actually, you know what? I think that's exactly what I was supposed to do. So, because this makes me go a lot quicker. So this particular type is, like I said, you gotta focus on using only one particular weapon, and you gotta move as fast as you can. So but yeah, when you complete one of these things, it only gives you 100 tokens for the perk shop, which is basically nothing for some of the later ones. You're better to play the arcade mode on higher difficulty and just grind it out that way. But nonetheless, it's cool that it's here. I think I did it. Yeah, and it gave me 225. Normally, you just get 100 perk points for beating a level, so you get another 225 for gold medaling it, which, yeah. But these are going to keep people really engaged. You can see I don't actually have them all unlocked yet, but it tells you what you have to do to get them, which I really like. And there's a lot of, some of these are really cleverly designed and provide a really unique challenge that I appreciate. So it looks like this one says I have to take out all the enemy turrets. It looks like I have to do it with limited ammo. so I have to make sure I don't. Oh boy, that's harder than it looks. So there's only 5 turrets, but I have to take them out with limited ammo, and there's going to be a ton of other enemies shooting at me. Oh, that's gnarly. I kind of like it though. I think that's actually pretty slick. So good job, guys. See what I mean though? As soon as I heard that WayForward, oh look, there's categories I just noticed too. Oh, that's nice. Like, as soon as I heard that WayForward was making this, I knew it was going to be amazing. And WayForward they have a bit of a history with Konami. WayForward was actually the developers of the absolutely fantastic Contra 4, which was a Contra game that they developed for the Nintendo DS, the original DS. And it is an absolute gem, and that was done way back, geez, I want to say 2000, maybe 2005, 2006, something like that. It was done a while ago, and it was just it was just a delight of a game. And
Something to prove, huh?
yeah, they're doing they did it again with this, honestly. WayForward are hit makers. They have published and developed almost nothing in the last several years that I haven't thought was excellent. And they're a developer that is really unique because they have made themselves a name out of making smaller arcade mechanics focused titles that are much smaller in scope. They're not AAA, and they're not trying to be AAA. They're not trying to be huge big budget productions in the way a lot of other things are, and it's a niche that they have thrived in that not a lot of developers have managed to. And look at that, I was 1 second under par. See, this is why I got to record more often when I'm playing these things, obviously. And yeah, they did a fantastic job. The only real problem I have with this is that, honestly, even with all the cool stuff this offers, I think it's way too expensive. It's just they're charging too much for it, and that is not WayForward's doing. I know that's Konami's doing. Konami is a company that has been completely clueless for many years now. You know, their main business now is gambling machines and mobile games. Their CEO once called mobile gaming the future, and well, makes me wonder why they're investing in stuff like this now. Maybe that's not working out so well for them. But this is like charging as much as like a large scale AA game for this is a big ask. It really is, in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, I love this. I actually I'm gonna try that. Let's try this on hard one hit and see how far I can get. I love this game. I think it is so much fun, and I've just been playing it with a big old smile on my face pretty much the whole time I've been playing it. I actually do want to play through this. I haven't tried the multiplayer yet, but I do want to do it with some friends. But the price of admission is an awful lot. Like, if you're buying this to play it with people, maybe they're willing to split it with you or something, that'd be better. But if you are a massive Contra nut like I am, like, I absolutely love the Contra series. It's one of the historical, like, best things Konami's ever done, I think. Then maybe it's worth it for you. But I think for most people who either just have, you know, a little bit of nostalgia for Contra, or who are maybe new to this kind of game and just think this looks really good, get it if you want, but you might be better off waiting for a sale on it. And I don't like to say that because I want to see this do well, because in the story mode, they very strongly hint that a Contra 2 remake, because this is in many ways a remake of Contra 1. It has its own identity in a lot of ways, but it's trying to be, it's clear that it's trying to be a reboot of the series. They hinted very strongly that a sequel is possible, and that the Alien Wars could get its own thing as well. So I don't like to say get this on a sale, because I think the better this sells at full price, the better likelihood that we're going to get another one. But value is subjective. But when I saw what they were selling this for, I was like, are you guys out of your mind? Like, sell this for 20, even 25 bucks, and I'd be screaming from the rooftops that everybody needs to buy it. But at what they're asking for this, that's a tall order for what it is. But I wanted to show this to you because strictly, you know, the subjective value proposition aside, this game is an absolute blast. I've had a ton of fun with it, and WayForward struck gold again, as they pretty much always do. And I really would like to see this do well, so Konami gives them another crack at it, or maybe even a crack at some other stuff. Like, you know what I'd honestly like to see? I'm on record as saying that my favorite Castlevania games are the arcade style ones, not the Metroidvania ones, but the arcade style ones, like the original ones from the NES and Super NES. I would love to see WayForward get a chance to make another one of those, like a Castlevania in that old school stuff. Can you imagine them giving this treatment to Castlevania? Yes, freaking please. I would love to see that. So if this does well enough, hopefully their relationship with Konami can continue to thrive, and Konami will give them more things to put their mark on, because they're an amazingly talented team. I just hope the success of this game isn't sort of snuffed out by Konami's greed. But, you know, Konami gonna Konami. We all know that. So, but yeah, this is a great game. Ooh, danger bonus. I'll tell you that right now. Getting 129 credits for a failed mission in arcade mode, that's a lot. So clearly this really will reward you for playing on higher difficulties. That's good to know. That's something I may try out a little bit more. But yeah, you should absolutely, if you like Contra, you should absolutely consider checking this out. At the very least, if it's too expensive for you, wish list it and pick it up when it goes on sale, because it's great. And I'm really glad to see WayForward injecting life back into some amazing Konami series that we long thought dead, because Konami gonna Konami. So that is Contra Operation Galuga. It is out now. It's a blast. And yeah, you've heard me say it. If you like Contra, definitely don't pass this up. So thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. If you liked what you saw here, please do all the normal YouTube things. Those do help out a great deal. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, what do you think of this game in terms of how it looks? What do you think of it as a value proposition? You know, given everything that I've said that this offers, do you think the price that they're asking is too much, or do you think it's fair? What classic IPs would you like to see WayForward take a crack at in the future? That's something I'd really like to know, because WayForward are just, they're one of the goats. They really are. And there's so many things I'd love to see them take a crack at, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about that as well. And you can also follow me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction. Streams are on hiatus right now, but they will be coming back once my schedule frees up a little bit, and we're going to be focusing on retro stuff there for a while, on what I call my deep backlog. I'm actually really looking forward to that, and we have a great little community there that I'd love to see you be a part of. Thanks again, everybody, and I'll see you on the next Retro Ramble. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take her easy. Go shoot some aliens for me.